Hey, hello. Welcome to the Aligned Life podcast. Hope you're doing amazing today. I'm coming at you a little casually. I have a run planned for later on today. So if you're watching on YouTube, that's what you see. That's what you get. Today we're going to talk about values, alignment, and fulfillment, and sprinkled with a little bit of self-discipline. So one of the things I want to share, somebody who had joined, someone who had joined my Facebook group was saying that one of the things that they wanted help with, or that they wanted to learn more about, was feeling like they were able to create alignment in each of the areas of their life. And so it kind of got me thinking about me creating my own alignment in my life as well, and where that came from, because I felt like it was a pretty natural thing for me to work through in my own life, or to get to this place. And there's two things that come to mind that I'll share with you, and then we'll kind of dive into it deeper. So the first thing is, I feel like I have grown to be, whether this is maybe just part of my nature, and I will also say that I do not believe that anyone is like, if you're not this way, that you're destined to never be this way. But I feel like it is part of my nature, and to be somebody who's pretty tapped into my morals and my ethics, and I live by them pretty strictly, I guess we could say. It's the reason I went vegetarian back at 17. It's the reason that I stay so consistent in my physical health routine. It's the reason that I stay so consistent in my running, or my yoga, or my health, or even in my morning practice, the things that I do in my morning routine that aren't fitness or health related or whatever. I've connected the why it matters to me, and how it's in alignment to my life. Okay. And the other thing is that I'm pretty managed in my mind. There's lots of areas that I could use, let's say, more work, but I feel like I'm pretty managed in my mind. And as I've shared with you guys 1,000 times, your mindset is how you take action. So if you're not taking the action that you want to take, you want to check in with what you're thinking, because there's a connection between what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and the action that you want to take that you're not taking, or the action that you are taking that you want to stop taking. So there is a connection, just to repeat that, because that maybe sounds wordy. There is a connection between what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and what you're doing that you don't want to do, or what you're not doing that you do want to do. Okay. And so to get yourself into an alignment, and I've always said this too, it sounds like such a nice, flowy, beautiful ideal for us to go after, and it is, but it's actually pretty ruthless. And it's not like the sound of, oh, let's get you into alignment. It sounds really nice, right? And almost fluffy in a sense. But to actually do it, it takes a lot of ruthlessness, and it takes a lot of discipline and commitment, and self-integrity. And so, kind of going back, those are a lot of morals or values that are ideals, but we don't sometimes always have them in the beginning of our personal growth journey, of course, right? So, like I said, those things, if you maybe have the ideal to be somebody who is disciplined or self-integral, let's say, those things need to become a part of your self-concept. And if they aren't a part of your self-concept yet, no worries. They can become a part of your self-concept by thinking about yourself as that type of a person. So it's all mindset. And I will never stop talking about the power of mindset and the importance of mindset, because it's literally everything. And even like the more that I learn about everything, the more it always comes back to mindset. Like it's just so important for you to be in control of your thoughts. And if you aren't, if you feel like, at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I said I was going to do this and I never did. Or I said I wanted to start that, didn't do it. Like that's because you're not conscious throughout your day. You're not dropping into consciousness, or you're not becoming aware of the things you're thinking. And you almost have to like make it a habit, whether you put an alert in your phone or whatever you do, to check in with what you're thinking about. It sounds kind of strange, but like ask yourself, what am I thinking about right now? Like, where is my mind? What are my thoughts at? And sometimes, and I've shared this before as well, but sometimes we can stop and ask ourselves, how am I feeling? Because a lot of times we become more aware of our feelings. So you could say, how am I feeling? And then ask yourself, what things am I thinking that are causing me to feel this way? Because we might, maybe first thing in the morning, we might be feeling like this sense of dread or this stress, or maybe a little bit, just a slight feeling of anxiety, maybe. And that catches our attention more so than the specific thoughts. So then you can pause yourself and say, like, okay, what is it that I'm thinking that's causing me to feel this way? So maybe you're like, oh, I'm thinking about this meeting that I have and it's causing me to feel a bit of anxiety, or I've got an appointment later and I'm just feeling dread about it, or whatever, right? And so this is helpful, because we have to remember that just because we are feeling a certain way about something doesn't mean we can't change the way we're feeling about it by changing what we think about it. So you can literally pause and ask yourself, okay, well, why am I dreading this meeting or this appointment that I have? And is that actually how I want to go into this meeting? Like, no, it isn't, right? Nobody wants to go into a meeting feeling a sense of dread. So how can you change that? What can you do in your mind? Because that's where everything plays out. So what can you do in your mind to change the way you're thinking about that thing, to cause you to feel differently about it? Because when you feel differently about it, your energy shifts, and now you can go into that meeting, for example, with a more optimistic, positive outlook or feeling about it. And that's going to change. It's literally going to change the result or the outcome of that meeting, because you've changed. Okay. So we tend to get what we expect. We tend to get what we look for. So you need to be really in charge of what you're looking for, or what you're expecting to get out of things, to get out of meetings, to get out of your day. Because you tend to get it. Sometimes we can be pleasantly surprised, like, oh, that was better than I expected, right? But for the most part, like, it's going to come out in the end that what we're worrying about or dreading or whatever, that changes our energy. And so that changes how things go, because we're perceiving things in that way. And then the results tend to be that way. Okay. So anyways, back to this, original theme or title of the podcast, which is having values and living in alignment. And so everybody wants to be fulfilled. Everybody wants to be all that they can be, whether you consciously know that you want that or not. It is deep down a soul desire that we all have. And some of us lost belief in ourselves. Some of us have more doubt clouding that. And so we're not maybe pursuing our alignment. And so what I would say is to tap into what matters to you, AKA what are your values. So for example, and I was thinking about this during my weekend, I was doing a long run. I'm training for a full marathon right now. So on the weekend, on Saturday, I had an 18-mile run, and it gives you lots of time to think during those times. So one of the things that I was thinking about was how much health matters to me. And I was also thinking about how I think about myself as a disciplined person, which might sound strange, but like I encourage you to do this for yourself as well, is to start to think about how you are a disciplined person. So maybe you will think, oh, but I'm not a disciplined person yet. So I have to become a disciplined person before I can think about myself that way. And I'm suggesting the opposite. I'm suggesting that you start to change your self concept and the results will follow. And then that's who you're going to be. Okay. So you have to let go and forgive yourself for times, maybe, for example, that you haven't been disciplined or whatever it is that you're wanting, right? So, for example, I was thinking about how I am disciplined and how I prioritize my health. Those are some big core values of mine. I'm pretty integral with myself. A lot of times if I say I want to do something, I'm going to do it. So if I'm telling myself I'm getting up at a certain time, or I'm going to start my run at a certain time, or I'm going to eat this, or I'm not going to eat that, I'm pretty integral. I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty good at those types of things. Same thing with, things in my work and in my personal hobbies and goals that I have. There's areas where I could, let's say, in quotations, be better. But there's the areas that I care about a lot, I'm pretty good at it. And that's comes back to what you value. Okay. So what do you value? So a lot of people in this day and age are valuing a lot of comfort over their true goal. Okay. So if I valued comfort over health, for example, like I wouldn't be pursuing the things that I pursue on a daily basis in my health. So you have to really check in with and just notice, like, what is it that you have accomplished in your life? And I'm talking, you might just think about like the good things that you've accomplished, but I'm talking about like everything. Like, what are your results right now? Because if you don't have, you might have accomplished something in your health that you didn't want to accomplish, right? So just look at that and don't have judgment and don't have criticism about that, and don't beat yourself up for it, but just to notice it, because we just have to have awareness. You can't change something without awareness of it. So notice what you've produced and what you've accomplished, whether it's what you want or not, and then notice how that's what you're valuing. There's something there that you're valuing. So for example, if you've like accomplished watching a lot of movies in your evenings, just as an example, because that's something that I used to do a lot when I had really little girls. So again, right? Like maybe you're just accomplishing, or you're just valuing something over something else. And when I shared this as well on my Instagram this morning, was when I started to learn, because I had always kind of been interested in health. When I started to really learn about why it matters, like why does it matter that we follow a plant-based diet? Why does it matter to have daily movement? Like, what are the benefits? We all kind of know, right? Like, oh yeah, we should be moving our bodies every day. Makes sense, right? We have a body, we should move it. I always joke, like, we take our dogs for a walk. Why do we think we don't have to take ourselves for a walk if we don't have a dog, for example? So we all kind of know these things, but then it's like actually learning, like, what happens in the body, what happens in the mind when you move your body every single day, what happens in the body and in the mind when you eat these foods compared to these foods, and learn about that, because that can help give you some more like ammunition, in a sense, to do the thing. It helps you be like, okay, well, now I know. It's like I almost know too much to do that to myself anymore. And that's literally how it got for me, choosing to follow a vegetarian diet back in 2008. Was like, it got to the point where I was like, I couldn't choose to eat those things anymore, because once you know, then you just can't be ignorant to it anymore. And when you don't know what you don't know, so then you do certain things, right? But like, if you know more, then you can make those different decisions, perhaps. And it doesn't always work for everything. Like, I can think about maybe people who know, why smoking, let's say, for example, is not good for you, and they might know about the increased risks and all these things, but they might still choose to do it. So maybe it doesn't work for every single person, but for a lot of us, it is going to help a lot when you start to learn why something is so important. And I tend to stay on the positive side of things rather than the negative side of things. Like for example, I wouldn't go and Google like what happens when you don't exercise every single day. I would just look at like, why is it so important to exercise? Like what are all the positive things that will happen? Because that we're more going to be motivated by the positive, right? Than like fearing what could happen to us. We don't want to be filled with a bunch of fear. So get clear on your values and ask yourself what matters to you, and like just check in, like, am I in tune with these values? Am I living these values to the best of my ability? And are there ways that I can change these things or adjust in how I show up and how I be so that I'm more integral? And going back to alignment, as I've always said, how you'll know is by how you feel. And remember, we're talking about a deeper feeling than just a fleeting feeling. Like, that feeling when your alarm goes off and you're like, I don't feel like getting out of bed. Like, that's just what I would call a fleeting feeling. It's not something that you necessarily need to listen to. The feelings that you need to listen to are those deeper intuitive feelings, the things that you just and they're always very quiet. That's the tricky thing, is they're very quiet, but they're not changing from day to day, right? Like, you might have a meeting one day that you're super excited about, and it's really easy to wake up early and get yourself ready. And then the next day you don't have anything that you're looking forward to, and it's not easy to wake up early. So those are just like your feelings are changing by what's going on, and it's just more, here and there. Whereas a long lasting feeling, let's say, of dread of waking up, it's like, okay, well, maybe you're not in alignment with your career if you're every single day dreading going to work or dreading seeing somebody. There's something there that you need to look at. So it's those feelings that last and last. For example, another example, the feeling that you are not on purpose, or the feeling that you have more to offer. It's usually like this nudge. It's deeper inside of you that you can sometimes kind of like turn a blind eye to, or like kind of push away, but it kind of keeps coming back up and resurfacing over and over again. Those are the things that we really need to look at. That's what I'm talking about with alignment. And examples I've shared over and over again, but just worth repeating. Like, if you ask me to go swim every day, like I wouldn't be excited about that. It wouldn't be in alignment to me. But for me to run, like, it feels really, really in alignment for me. For me to do yoga is very much in alignment for me. And I was also thinking about that on my run, because like I said, it was an 18-mile run. So that's like 30 or 29, I think 28 or 29 kilometers. So it's a decent amount of time that you're out there running. And like, I was definitely like sore and tired at the end of my run, but I was very much like, it was a very fulfilled feeling, like satisfying feeling of like knowing that I was out there pushing myself and working hard, and it was something that I truly enjoy. And I'm also like cardio wise in shape for that, and like physically my legs, I've worked up to this distance. So like it was a good run. It was a good feeling. Where some people might think like, oh, well, so and so likes running, so I should try running, and they might go out there and do 10, 20 runs, and they might just hate it every time. It's like, maybe that isn't the thing for you then, right? Maybe that's not what is in alignment for you. But the thing that you have to remember is that there is something that is in alignment for you then, and it's up to you to pursue it. It's up to you to find it. If you want, this is what, coming back to like the ruthlessness part, you've got to be a bit ruthless with yourself. You've got to be really, like, in a loving way, honest, and you have to have those boundaries that you hear everybody talking about, having boundaries with everyone else. You have to have those boundaries with yourself. And so if you're doing something, if you have habits, or if you have um, activities in your life that aren't in alignment, you need to get over that discomfort of maybe upsetting somebody, maybe having somebody feel like you let them down, or that they're disappointed that you're not doing that anymore, that you're going to change in some way. You have to be able to get over that feeling and know that your integrity lies with yourself first, if that makes sense. Maybe not wording that properly, but like, you need to be honest and integral with yourself first and foremost, and from there it follows with everybody else. It'll kind of flow, but we can't be letting ourselves down to then try to people please other people, because that's actually, you're not even being honest with those other people anyways. And the thing that I come back to over and over again is like, the universe actually wants us, if we can get a little bit woo woo, but the universe actually wants us to be in alignment. And how do I know that? Because why would we be pulled towards certain things and feel resistance towards other things? If you really asked yourself, that has to be because we are meant to be in alignment, because we are meant to be fulfilled. So if you have something that you feel a lot of resistance towards, whether it's a habit, or like an activity or a commitment in your life that you feel a lot of resistance towards, like you don't look forward to it, or it's just not something you're interested in. It doesn't have to be like anything extreme. It could just be like subtle, like, it's just not for me. I don't care about it. It's just not interesting, right? Those things that are because they're not for you. And the things that you do care about, you will find interesting. You will be wanting to do it. You will want to put your attention on it. It's the things, and this is one of the exercises that I have you do inside of the Align membership, is really asking yourself just this question of like, what are the things that my mind naturally floats to when I'm just, daydreaming or just thinking about things? What do I love to think about? What do I love to Google? What do I love to search on Pinterest? What do I love to learn about? What podcasts do I always seem to want to listen to? And equally, like, what are the podcasts I have no problem passing on? Like, I don't care to listen to. What are the things I wouldn't want to search? Like, those things, it's important to know that too, to be like, that's not part of my alignment. And the things that are a part of your alignment are the things that you feel naturally pulled to learn more about, or to study, or to immerse yourself in. That's alignment. That's simple as way. It's just the things that you feel like are a yes to you. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's usually the subtle feeling that you just can't even almost explain it, but you feel like this invisible string pulling you towards this thing or these things, right? Of course, we're going to have lots of interests and lots of things that are in our alignment, especially if you're a manifesting generator like me. So we need to give ourselves permission to pursue that, because like I said, getting back to the woo, is the universe wants that for you. And why does the universe want that for you? Because when you are in alignment, you're going to be, first of all, you're going to be able to help people that you're meant to help, because you are like the perfect kind of blueprint for sharing those things, or having the skills and the interests in that area. And that's that's good for other people too, right? It's a win-win. And we're really much moving into, like, astrologically, we're moving into a time where anything that's not win-win in this world is going to be collapsing. And you can see things that are collapsing all around us that are not win-win. So if there's anything that's kind of like a shady or whatever we want to call it, it's not going to be stable. It's going to collapse. It's not going to last in some way. And this is a process going like to 2027 and beyond, right? So it's happening now, and it's going to even probably pick up over these next years. And the other thing is that your energy changes. So think about like something that you just don't like. Like, what are the things you don't like? For me, I would not be interested at all in, let's say, learning about hunting, or I would just not be interested at all in learning about like cars or engines or anything like that. It would just bore the heck out of me. Okay. No judgment to anybody who loves that kind of stuff. I'm grateful that there's people who love that stuff, because we need, like, everyone's needed here, of course. So thinking about those things, that if you were like, okay, you have to sit down and do 20 hours of learning about engines, like, that would be something that would just not be fun for me, of course, right? And so my energy would drop. Like, I could literally even imagine how much dread I would feel if I knew that was going to be like my next 4 days was like learning about that. I would feel a lot of dread. My energy would be low. I would probably complain to other people. And I just wouldn't be excited. So that kind of energy is not needed in the world. But unfortunately, there's a lot of that energy in the world right now, because a lot of people are not on purpose. And I will say that a lot of people think that it's noble to not be on purpose. And I do not agree with that at all. There's a lot of people that still think because that's what our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents needed to do. But we are living in a time now where we get that privilege. We have a privilege and almost like a responsibility as well. Things are changing so much that we have the opportunity to be in alignment. But there's this part of us, because we were, raised, and it's just like in our blueprint, essentially, that it's almost like there's a bit of pride, maybe, in the suffering. It's like, if you work really hard and you grind and you suffered hard, you're like more deserving of success than somebody who it came really easy to. And we tend to even like stories or like movies around that and about that, than people who, like, if everything came too easy for them and they just have like this perfect life and they just get to pursue the things that they want, and we think it looks easy for them. I will say that it's not, and I'll talk about that in a second, but like, we almost don't like that person. There's almost a part of us that tends to, and it's like this part that we need to overcome, but there's this part of us that doesn't want, because we think we have to struggle, so we're like, other people should have to struggle too. So we need to be aware of that this is why I say alignment actually takes a lot of guts and a lot of courageousness, a lot of courage for us to pursue alignment, because it's actually not for the faint of heart. Like, you're almost going to be more in company with people if you struggle, if you don't like your job, if you don't like your life, if you don't like your spouse, if you don't like your body. You're going to find way more people to talk to about that kind of stuff than talking to people who do like their body, who do like the way that they eat, who do like the way that they feel in their life, who do love their job, who do love their spouse, and like those types of things. It's there are people out there, but it's not always maybe as easy to find them still. And so what I was going to say was something that I shared on a reel last week, the end of last week, was on creating long-lasting fulfillment. And I'll share this and then we'll kind of be done for this podcast episode. But creating long-lasting fulfillment actually requires effort. So when we look at somebody and we think like, oh, they have it so easy because they're doing what they love and they're so lucky. I just want you to know that it still requires a lot of effort, even if you love it. So don't be mistaken by that. And don't be mistaken when you see other people being in alignment and thinking that it's so easy for them, because it's not. And don't be mistaken when you're pursuing alignment and then it's hard and you think something's gone wrong and you're like, maybe this isn't my alignment. No, it's probably your alignment if it's something that you love and can't stop thinking about and dreaming about and researching and studying and learning about and wanting to be a part of. It's probably your alignment, but it's still hard and that's a good thing, because the more effort that you put into it is actually going to help you feel worthy of having it. So we need to put in effort for us to feel worthy and deserving of having the results of things. So like, for example, somebody who works hard and like creates, let's say, a strong body, a fast body, a flexible body, whatever, like you're literally, you know this because you don't get it from nothing, right? If you want to have like muscles, or if you want to be somebody who can run long distances, you just have to put in the work. There's maybe a few people who just are naturally fast, let's say, or naturally good at long distances, and maybe that's true. But if you want to be a higher caliber, you have to put in the work. And so physical exercise is a perfect example of that, where you can see that you maybe might have, let's say, some natural muscle definition, but like, especially as time goes on, like you need to work hard. And that's a good thing. I don't mean work hard for the sake of hard work for no reason, but like working hard to get what you want is a very good thing. And that effort that you put in is what creates the feeling of fulfillment. So people are a lot of times resistant to putting in effort because so much of us, like I said, grew up thinking like, oh, no one really has a job that they like, or nobody really is that happy in life, which isn't the truth. But that's maybe sometimes what we saw as examples or what we think or whatever. But the effort, when you put in effort, like if it's in something that you're interested in, if it's something that you love, if it's for you, right? And you can use your mind to think how it's for you. It doesn't mean you have to be a business owner. Like you can have this type of a mindset in as an employee, and you will be a very valuable employee, and you will be one that employers will always want to have. You will always be valued if you have this type of a mindset as an employee, to know that the work that you do, like the effort that you put into it, will always come back to you. And of course, we can see this a lot. Like if you are a business owner, it's like, yeah, well, it's your business, so that makes sense. But like when you think about it as an employee, it's still the same thing. It still is important for you to have that type of mentality and mindset and beliefs that like the work that you do matters. Because for one, it's your karma, right? Of course. But anything that you're doing, like that, you're always going to be respected and valued and treasured, and people will always want that type of a worker. So it's going to be good for you in that way too. So don't be afraid of putting in effort into anything. In fact, like work harder, like work super hard on everything that you love. And the people who, because I've coached some people like this, where they kind of start off feeling a little bit ho-hum, kind of apathetic in their life. Like there's not really anything that they're that excited about. But that's because they're not knowing that they are the ones to generate that feeling. They're supposed to be the ones to generate that feeling. So they're just kind of waiting for something to be excited about, waiting for the weekend, waiting for, a vacation or something to get themselves feeling like things are good. When you start putting in effort and creating opportunities and getting excited about things, about everything in your life, and letting go of things that don't matter to you and pursuing the things that do matter to you, you start to generate positive feelings, and you start to feel more energized in your life because you're the creator of it. So put in effort, work hard, create a life that you love, be really ruthless in your alignment, know what matters to you, learn about why if you want something to matter and it doesn't matter, right? Like, for example, like your health. Let's say you want to get healthy, but right now you're not valuing your health. Learn about why it matters. Get yourself educated on the benefits of daily movement. Learn about the foods that you're eating or that you want to start eating, and learn about how the nutrients impacts your body, and how like just even do it for 30 days so that you can actually feel it. Like, learning about it is one thing, but being like, okay, even if I don't feel like it, I'm eating these foods because I want to see how my body's going to feel and change. And you have to give it 30 days, because 1 week your taste buds aren't going to change. You're still going to be craving those highly palatable foods. They're like, literally, people test them to figure out the ways to make them taste the best for people. So it's like, it's not even fair, right? Whereas something that's just fresh and whole, that's its pure form. You just got to give yourself time to get used to that feeling and taste and texture and all of that stuff too. So learn about that and get clear on your values, get clear in your alignment, know what matters to you. The things that you love and can't stop thinking about are for you to pursue. You've got to make room in your life, so you need to be able to let things go so that you can add those things in that do matter to you. And remember that your fulfillment is not just for like people who are special or whatever. It's for everybody, because people benefit from you being fulfilled and from you being an expert on the things that matter to you. And also, your energy is going to shift, and you're going to become more energetic, more positive, more happy and fulfilled. That spreads, and that's the kind of energy that we need in this world. Like, nobody wants to get on the phone with somebody to ask them a question, right? If you need help and you're talking to somebody who doesn't even want to be there, you like get their negative energy, right? Like, it's a crappy feeling. So we want people who want to do those jobs in those jobs. And so we have to do that too. We have to be that way. And if you can't make those changes yet in jobs or hobbies or activities, then take responsibility for how you feel right now, instead of waiting to feel better in a different circumstance. You've got to take responsibility for how you feel in this circumstance and be the best that you can be. And then things will change where you can change your circumstance, but you always can change how you think and how you feel. That takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of discipline to do that, but it can be done. And like, on that note, we'll end with this. I'm actually teaching a Master Your Mind training for women. It's mindset training for women inside of my Align membership. So it's starting on April 22nd, on Monday, April 22nd. It's a 4-week program. It's going to be, I'll be live every single week doing teachings, and then we'll have time for coaching at the end of the class, but then it'll be saved for anybody who can't make it live. You'll be able to have access to like the replays for all of that. And I was saying on my Instagram, I have a lot that I want to share with you. So we're going to do this as a 4-week training, but I could easily see us doing like a part 2, because there's just a lot to talk about and a lot to learn and levels to everything. Each thing that, we will be talking about, there's almost like a deeper level that you can take it, of course. So if you want to join us for that, you can sign up through the link in the I'm on my podcast. So where can you sign up? You can sign up in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a link in the description. You can head to my website, meganschmidt.com, and you can sign up through the membership. So just click on the Align membership and you'll be able to sign up easily there. And I'm excited to share that with you. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we will chat next week. Take care.